Kinsey Schofield here with a brand new episode of Crown and Conflict, and there is only one man that I want to talk to about the current conflict, and that is the author of Revenge, Tom Bower, one of my favorite authors in the world, and I've told you that a million times, but what a great time to speak to you as we are experiencing something incredibly historic at the moment.
Absolutely.
Did you ever think we'd see King Charles strip Prince Andrew of his titles, of his home, and really try to distance himself with that statement, taking up for potential victims?
No, I think if someone even predicted it 24 hours earlier, they would have been laughed out of court. It was just absolutely unprecedented and completely unforeseen. But the right thing to do. I mean, the point was that we'd always criticised Charles for being hesitant and backing away from controversy. But I don't think it was Charles's decision in the end. I mean, it was technically, but of course he was forced into it, most likely by Prince William. I think Camilla also said this can't carry on. And I think the Prime Minister in the weekly audience would have told him that he has grave problems because public opinion was very much against Andrew. And in Parliament, a lot of left-wing Labour MPs would have made life very difficult for the monarchy if the line wasn't drawn. So I think King Charles's hand was just forced.
That's very interesting to me to hear you say that Keir Starmer could have had a hand in this because, as you know, royals can be a delicious distraction in a great way, like a coronation or a wedding or a royal baby for the government and their wins and their failures, or they can be a terrible distraction. And Keir Starmer's been dealt some blows lately, so you'd almost wonder if he would welcome the Andrew distraction to kind of divert attention away from the current government's hiccups. But you're saying you feel like
I don't think he plotted it that way. I mean, the hiccups are chasms. It's a catastrophe. Yeah. But I do think that he would have been asked by the king, what do you think the chances in Parliament are? I mean, MPs on the whole do not discuss the royal affairs. I mean, that's left to the king. That's separate. But this has now had become a major issue because of the abuse. Mm-hmm. And so I think that Starmer would have told him, I can't control my MPs what they want to say. And if they want to bring it up, you'll be in trouble. It'll be embarrassing. Mm-hmm. So that was just one more ingredient. And in the end, this was the right thing to do. It was unprecedented. It was sensational. It was just absolutely, in the end, I think it was about the survival of the monarchy. I don't think the monarchy, whose popularity in Britain has fallen now from about 80% 20 years ago to just over 50%, is a pretty steep decline. And this was making it even worse. So I think, for all these reasons, it had to happen, and rightly so. And the question only is whether Andrew sticks to the rules, which is to disappear forever.
Mm-hmm. You've written about King Charles, Prince Charles at the time, and a younger Prince Charles could be pretty vicious when it came to cutting people out, cutting people off. But the older Charles that we've seen, even in his recent meetings with Prince Harry, his heart seems to have softened, or there's been some sort of evolution. So I do think you're right that a lot of us were kind of caught off guard by the Prince Andrew decision because we had grown accustomed to cuddly Charles, Grandpa Charles, with the grandkids in his lap. And when I saw the news, I thought, I don't know if I'll ever see anything like this again in my lifetime, but maybe I will because of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Well, I think you've got to take two things into account here. One is the mortality of the king. I mean, he is seriously ill. And also the pressure he's under from William, who does not want to inherit a mess. He wants the stables cleaned. He wants Andrew out. And coming on to Harry and Meghan, I think for them now in Montecito, this is a moment of grave concern because stripping the royal family of titles was unheard of in our lifetimes and for hundreds of years. They were sent to the Tower and didn't come out. Right. So I think that the couple in Montecito have got some major problems now, which is that I always thought that when William became king, he'd just banish Harry. But I think he'll banish them both and take their titles away. And now Harry might even wonder, will he take the prince title away, just to make absolutely sure there's no connection with the royal family and also his children. The Montecito couple are potentially a grave threat to the British monarchy, which altogether is vulnerable now. So I think that the Sussexes are facing their own doom as well.
Do you believe some of the headlines that Prince William really had a hand in this decision? Or do you think that the king had guidance from people like Keir Starmer, his courtiers that he really trusts and values? Because there are some people that are trying to say William is king now. I've seen 2 headlines. William is king in all but name. And I don't know if that's fair.
No, I don't think it's true for a moment. The king is the king.
Yeah.
What happened was that after the funeral service for the Duchess of Kent, when you saw that rather embarrassing shot of Andrew trying to make conversations with William, 2 days later, William flew up to Scotland, to Balmoral, to see his father, and stayed there for 2 nights, 3 days. And undoubtedly in that conversation, he said to him, we've got to end it with Andrew. I cannot carry on. I mean, it's not only the image, but also they're moving into Windsor Great Park. Mm-hmm. They would see Andrew riding or driving his Range Rover or whatever. Kate did not want to be seen anywhere, nor did William, with Andrew. So they had to cut the knot. The question was only how long it would take for the king to persuade his brother that the end had come. There could be no further negotiations. And Andrew had to accept it without a squeak, which is what happened in that statement. I mean, Andrew agrees without any protest. And I think that is the point. So William undoubtedly was the guiding hand, the force. He probably got the support of the Queen. He certainly got the support of Princess Anne, which is a very important factor too. Mm-hmm. They didn't want any more to be besmirched. And how did we get to this is the important issue. I mean, 6 years ago, he did this fatal interview with the BBC, which he lied in. But it was the publication of his emails with Epstein showing that in that BBC interview he'd lied that really was the end. I mean, the point is the royal family doesn't lie. The royal family is not there to be like a celebrity interview.
Or a
giving things
politician.
away.
We expect it from politicians or celebrities, but not the royal family.
Exactly. And that was it. That was the final straw. And in his stupidity, Andrew and obviously his wife too, didn't realize that that really was intolerable. Mm. It was absolutely unacceptable. And that is why they had to go. There could be no doubt anymore. It's just that it took us by surprise that it was so total and brutal. Clearly there had been a long period of negotiation and argument before they got to that situation.
What does it say to you, that line in the King's statement about the victims and acknowledging the victims? Because I think one of Prince Andrew's, I think one of what turned the viewer off to everything Prince Andrew has done or said over the last few years is his refusal to acknowledge that anyone might have been hurt throughout this scenario. It's always just, I never met her. I don't think I met her. I can't sweat. Not, if she had this experience with Jeffrey Epstein, I'm horrified. And I'm so sorry that she experienced this. But I don't believe that I've ever met her. Not even to acknowledge any of the victims, potential victims, alleged victims, in any way, shape, or form in a sympathetic capacity. And then you have this statement from the king who acknowledges them, and says, we're with you. I thought that really felt like a punch in the gut to everything we've seen from Prince Andrew so far.
You're absolutely right, but the whole point is that all his denials in the BBC interview in 2019 were proven to be lies. Mm-hmm. And that was the point. And I mean, the photograph is conclusive.
Right.
There's no doubt that's a genuine photograph. And so every avenue of escape for him had gone once his lies were proven. And of course, there's a chain of emails between him and Epstein after that original one, when, of course, the photograph appears. But I think as well there probably is even more in the Epstein files, which Congress hasn't yet declassified. I mean, what is remarkable about this whole thing is that so far, in terms of men, only 2 men have actually been discredited by the Epstein files. They both happen to be British.
Yeah.
Andrew and the former British ambassador to Washington, Mandelson.
Yeah.
No Americans seem to have
They're
been
taking care of
touched.
themselves.
They really are. They're loading it all on. And so far, they've had 2 huge prizes.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the Brits are concerned, I mean, it's been extraordinary.
Right.
But no American casualties so far, and that really is remarkable. But you're right, of course. I mean, I do think, in Britain, like in America, abused women are there to be sympathised with. I mean, it's a terrible thing for a young girl to be taken and abused. It's shocking. So I think there's a lot of sympathy to give free. And what's shameful is those who doubt her.
Right.
That is the shame, that anyone should doubt her words. Because, of course, abuse victims always suffer from a lack of clarity, often a lack of total recall. May they make mistakes just because their lives have been so appalling. Mm-hmm. How on earth they're meant to document every incident?
Right.
I mean, they're just used. They're
Well,
abused.
they have no idea that they should be documenting
Exactly.
it. Yeah. I mean, I probably will regret saying this, but it has been heavy on my mind. Could Andrew have not known what the circumstances were? Could he just think that these women wanted to be with him because he was a prince, a British prince, and these were American girls that were enamored by royalty? Was he so dumb to not realize what the circumstances were?
No, that's impossible. I mean, after all, he was a grown man. He was 40.
Yeah. I know, but he's a grown man with teddy bears.
Well, yeah, but I mean, so is the king. I mean, men have teddy bears. I mean, I know a general who's got a teddy bear. That doesn't mean a thing. I mean, that's all part of the upbringing in the British aristocracy. No, I mean, he didn't think when he met Virginia that suddenly she was deeply in love with him. And when he said, "Well, come to bed," and she went to bed, that was somehow because she suddenly was falling at his feet. I mean, it's
Right.
ridiculous. 16 and 17-year-old girl.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Of course, he
Right.
knew very well that she was being pimped.
Doesn't that just make you miserable that he would accept that? Doesn't that just make you just...
Well, he's not the only man who has benefited from that for 3,000 years. And even now, I mean, you can assure yourself there are hundreds of men in positions of power across the world who just take women because they know they're supplied for all the commercial reasons and abuse reasons.
Yeah, I mean,
his great mistake was to lie about it.
Yes.
If he'd just not said a word and left it, he might have got away with it. The great mistake he made was going to the BBC with the concocted view of how I'm going to get away with it.
Right.
And he couldn't resist the pressure. So that was his...
And then the idea that he walked out of that interview and thought he had just hit a home run, that he'd won the Super Bowl. He went to his mother and said, "Don't worry, it's all taken care of. It's over."
Yeah.
And just the fact that he couldn't register how...
Well, the question is, unfortunately, a bit deeper. The point is, his advisors clearly were useless.
Right.
And I do think that stretches right through the royal family. I think we have lost that generation of wise men, and they were all men, who could actually tell the monarchs in the past when to abdicate, when to make a speech, when to come down from Balmoral when Diana died. All that stuff was terribly important. That generation has gone. And in their place are people who I would call second class, even third class, who make terrible mistakes. And that was the terrible mistake, not to say to Andrew, under no circumstances should we do this interview, but on the contrary, encourage it. And of course, the advisor was quickly fired afterwards because she made a terrible mistake. And I think the king suffers from the same. He doesn't have the greatest advisors anymore, partly because he doesn't like people who say no to him. So,
would you say that the Queen, towards the end of her life, didn't have great advisors? Because why would they not cut Andrew off at the knees earlier?
Well, they couldn't because the woman was old and she had cancer, and also it was her son. And if she had been told by Charles, "We can't carry on like this," it might have happened, as she did, of course, with Harry. I mean, Harry being kicked out completely and all his offers of half in, half out being rejected. That, of course, was the Queen, but also it was very much Charles and William at the Sandringham summit. She just sat there and let them dictate. But they, Charles and William, did not tell her, "Andrew has to go now." There was always a hope that somehow And he might have survived if this email hadn't come out. I mean, that is the point. It was he very foolishly didn't realize
Was
that
Sarah
emails have a
Ferguson
life.
done? Was Sarah Ferguson done after the Supreme Friend email? Was she done there?
Well, I think she was done always. You
Yeah.
know, where she has no position. She was
She's
just
irrelevant.
irritant. What happens to her now will be interesting as well, in the sense that will she be embarrassing or not? I mean, I think now with Sarah Ferguson, her daughters will tell her, you know, we are now hanging by a slender thread. They very generously have allowed us to keep our titles, but it does depend on you behaving. You'd make one more mistake, one more big mouth error, and we may lose our positions too. So I think there'll be pressure on the parents by the daughters to stay anonymous and discreet.
Do you think that Fergie will turn the Queen's corgis into dog influencers, and that's the way she's going to make her money moving forward?
I think she, however much she earns, she spends twice as much or 3 times as much.
Yeah.
She is an unguided missile.
What a great way to describe her. That is the truth. Do you have anything else you want to say about the Prince Andrew saga before we transition into another traitor?
I'll give you one more. I mean, my feeling is this has been the most sensational week in royal history, in post-war history, even bigger probably than the Diana and Charles divorce, which was itself pretty huge.
That's incredible.
But this now is seismic because it goes to the heart of a monarchy seeking to restore its popularity and its survival. It was really quite a perilous position it was in. And the question now is whether they can organize themselves to rebuild their popularity, rebuild their position in Britain and internationally. And that is the challenge. And the problem is we've got a king who's not well. We've got a Prince of Wales, an heir, who is, in my view, not quite ready to be king yet, both psychologically and emotionally, because of his own wife's illness and his own interests. And so it is an unstable moment, to say the least.
You're right. I mean, there's a lot going on, and they've taken a lot of hits over the last 5 years. I've gone through this timeline a couple of times, but Harry and Meghan leave. That's likely a blessing. I'm sure that they saw that as a blessing in disguise. Meghan didn't seem to want to fit into the royal family, so they moved to California. Prince Philip's ill. Harry and Meghan sit down with Oprah. Nightmare. Then Prince Philip dies. Shortly after that, Queen Elizabeth dies. Fergie has breast cancer. The king's sick. Catherine's sick. We don't know what's going on. We find out it's cancer. How do you organize when your personal life and your health is disintegrating behind the scenes? They've got so much on their plate right now. And, then all of the chaos with Andrew erupts. So I have a lot of sympathy for the family from that point of view.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that in the end, they're people who want to devote service, and they do a terrific job. And when they go and open a hospice or visit a hospital or visit the Vatican or whatever, it is something which brings a lot of pleasure to people. People really are very, very appreciative of the attention of the royal family, and that's their genius, and that is their value to Britain and internationally. It has been a horrendously difficult moment over the years, and now it's come to, we think, a climax. What can be worse? I mean, what can go worse? But there are things, and in the end, you've got to remind yourself that the monarchy is not a person, it's an institution. Mm-hmm. The people are just transient. It's been there for 1,000 years, and it's been through various crises before, let alone a king who cut off the head of his wives a few hundred years ago.
What a rude guy.
So let us just bear that in mind.
I mean, that is such a great reminder that things like that used to be a typical Tuesday. You know?
Exactly. So, the monarchy will survive because it is...
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
It's just in what condition will it survive, and how will it be rebuilt, and how is it all going to fit together again? So it's gone through a very turbulent period.
So Republic doesn't make you nervous?
The public?
The Republic?
No, because no one wants President Starmer. No one in Britain wants a politician head of state, and those who do are not really properly British. I mean, what on earth do they want? So, of course, the monarchy will survive, and it's always in someone else's hands. Mm-hmm. When the abdication happened because of the American Wallace, that was a catastrophe in a way. But we overcame it, and his successor, George VI, was a terrifically successful king. And of course, the Queen was phenomenally successful. And we'll see what happens. But the institution is secure.
Who doesn't want energy, metabolic, immune, and skin support? Meet Peak, a luxury brand transforming wellness with the absolute best, rare, and precious plants, cutting edge ingredients, and formulations rooted in traditional wisdom. Their science backed botanicals, minerals, and supplements support sustained energy, metabolic function, immune health, and radiant skin, making it easy to live each day with vitality. One of their newest essentials, the Deep Hydration Protocol, is a 2-part drinkable skincare system that keeps your body and skin hydrated while promoting better sleep. Made without sugar, fillers, or artificial flavors, and crafted with natural ingredients for a clean, spa-like taste you can feel good about. Daily use supports hydration, glowing skin, improved sleep, and sustained energy. In the morning, I use BT Fountain. This is their beauty electrolyte. It helps hydrate from within. It smooths skin and gives me lasting energy. By the evening, I'm grabbing for RE Fountain, the calming electrolyte. It contains this gentle form of magnesium that eases tension and helps me get deep, restful sleep without feeling groggy the next day. Wake up rested and stay hydrated all day long. Get 20% off for life and a free gift, and explore Peak's clean, pure ingredient products at peaklife.com/Kinsey. That's PIQUE life.com/Kinsey. This is hydration redefined. Try it and glow from the inside out. Now back to the show. I can't believe everything that Meghan Markle has done since Revenge. I was looking at You End Revenge, and then all of the professional pursuits since Revenge was written. But so much has happened in the last 12 months. And how much, when you study Meghan Markle professionally, even of the last 12 months, how much reminds you of Fergie? She's released a reality show this year. She didn't talk to Oprah this year, but we know that Fergie would do sit-downs with Oprah, had a reality show with Oprah. Fergie had a podcast recently. Meghan's had 2 podcasts recently. Fergie would do QVC-style shows. That's basically what With Love Meghan is. They both write children's books. I mean, Meghan seems like she could be on the Sarah Ferguson path.
You mean downhill?
Downhill is
well,
exactly right.
I think it's only going downhill. It's been a tough year for her, but as I said before, the problem about Meghan is she always looks good. She always survives. You never see a moment of weakness in public.
The same cannot be said about Harry.
Or Harry or Fergie. I mean, Meghan is a consummate survival actress. And you raise this extraordinary beginning of the year when she carved 2025 in the sand. And it's a very, very interesting image that it came out on New Year's Day this year. Because the previous weeks had been absolutely turgid and torrid for her. She had been dubbed Duchess Difficult again. There had been allegations of bullying.
Tyrant in high heels.
There had been this interview with the people in Montecito who said that she wasn't an asset for their local community. The worst thing that happened to her was that Donald Trump was elected president, so she had an enemy in the White House. She knew that Vanity Fair were doing a huge issue on her, and it wasn't going to be complimentary, she feared. So she'd had a really tough few months, as had Harry, because his charity Sentebale in Botswana was falling apart. So 2025 was the beginning of something very, very exciting for her, because not least With Love Meghan was going to appear a few weeks into the new year. And then, of course, it all goes wrong. But on that day, New Year's Day, she could only hope, it's a new year, it can only get better.
Yes, it was interesting because in November of 2024, someone from the Sussex camp had leaked to Page Six that 2025 was going to be the year of the Markle sparkle. And maybe she would say in the last few weeks, as she's accepting a Humanitarian of the Year award, she might say, see, but for the most part, I didn't see that. Did it bother you at all when she did the 2025 in the sand on that day? I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. I'm horrified with myself. But Harry, Tiggy Leg Burke had just lost her stepson in a New Orleans terror attack. And I've said this to you off camera, but I feel like Harry and Meghan should be more considerate of what's going on in the bigger royal sphere when they pursue attention. And I thought that was really cold, that she was prancing around in the sand, announcing a new Instagram account on the same day we're seeing headlines about Tiggy Leg Burke losing her stepson in a terror attack. I'm just too sensitive, huh?
No, you're not at all. I mean, there was that, even worse is that when the public announcement of both King Charles's and Kate's cancer was made, Harry was, I think it was at a public function in LA, and made no mention of it either. And sent no commiserations or public wish you recover as well. So I mean, there's an appalling narcissism there, an appalling self-interest. It's self-love. That, especially for Meghan, everything is about self-love.
Yes,
which is become a sort of her survival instinct. Everything is about her, and so. Yes, I mean, that was the whole point of on the sand. It was her beginning
her
the new
year. Yeah.
And hope that the TV Netflix series will be a success and all the rest of it.
So then she's teasing a brand new show with Love Meghan. This is supposed to be her breakout role. And actually in Revenge, you talk about her pitching similar shows before she meets Prince Harry. So this is Meghan making her dreams come true.
Absolutely.
with Love Meghan. And the wildfires break out, because it's not karma or anything that every time these two have something that they're trying to push, the universe stops them in their tracks. But the wildfires in LA break out, and Meghan and Harry show up. They're not even near these fires.
They go down to Pasadena.
And they're just hugging people. And the mayor of Pasadena, who you imagine has bigger things to do, decides to stop everything and take them on a personal tour. I had friends that were there volunteering and were told that they needed to go away for a little while. They were volunteering so Harry and Meghan could have this personal tour. They are branded tourist, like what were they branded? It was like vultures. It was something like
disaster tourists.
Disaster tourists. Thank you so much, disaster tourists. But then to save face, they delay the premiere of With Love Meghan. That was really nice of her to delay.
Well, I think she had no choice. I mean, it's even worse than that actually, because they'd run the trailer. And in the trailer, they had 27,000 comments. 95% of them were negative. So they already knew there was a problem of the image. There was also the Vanity Fair article, which is, American Hustle was a huge blow.
We love it. We love to see it.
To Meghan. So it was opportune. And of course, by then she also knew that her brand was in great trouble. American Riviera Orchard, that she had allegedly nicked the idea and a lot of other things. There was a patent and trademark problem, so she had to find another brand name. So the smiles concealed huge problems. And even when she goes down to Pasadena, she gets for a child some T-shirts and something.
Billie Eilish.
And it all goes wrong because she just can't do anything without...
patting herself on the back?
Clapping herself on the back.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a secret. This is a terribly private thing I'm telling you.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole world.
I've been in touch with Billie Eilish, and you're right. So in February, again, you're so spot on about the way that everything's fine. Everything's fine. She announces that she's just decided, because she has that freedom and that power, and she's come up with a better idea to go from American Riviera Orchard, which we have been talking about for a year at that point, to As Ever, citing the original name was just too restrictive, and the pivot was in association with the Netflix show, but it was she wouldn't admit to making a mistake. This was just she had a better idea.
Well, of course, but she knew the lawyers had told her already. But what's interesting about this, is that she was in Vancouver at the Invictus Games, wowing everybody. And I was there. It was fascinating. And will appear in my new book. You
never invite me anywhere.
Anyway, it was fascinating because then she rushes back from Whistler and shoots a very, very jerky, unprofessional video of herself with Lilibet in the garden to announce that is now going to be called As Ever. I mean, clearly panic station, very badly edited, badly lit, and that was the beginning of the downhill. That it was all a mess.
But do you see that as a desperate attempt to look authentic?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, authenticity is the one thing she keeps on talking about. Somebody who is a completely fabrication and a confection. But that's all part of this phenomena. And the reason we're also intrigued is because it's like with Andrew, you see, you can't imagine how will Meghan end.
Oh, I know.
This is the point. Andrew, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, he thought, well, what's going to be the end of this interview he gave to the BBC? And now with Meghan, we can see one. I mean, when the series then aired, it reached the high point of being 383rd on Netflix's most popular shows.
That's right.
It was a complete fiasco.
Right.
And
the parodies that it created,
Well,
I
absolutely.
never thought I'd see such brilliant comedy on TikTok.
exactly.
It was you're right. So, but she deemed it a success
Oh.
because she immediately goes on Netflix in some lettuce pun hat celebrating season 2. Now, is that a legitimate celebration or is this more Meghan spin? It's already recorded.
This is survival mode.
Yeah.
I mean, she knew by then it was a flop in terms of popularity. The sellouts were just a joke because quite clearly. And also, it's very important to realize the inauthenticity of the products. I mean, the jam was meant to be made by her at home, and we know it was made in Illinois by a jam factory. It wasn't jam either, it was spread.
And
It
she
wasn't her
posts videos
strawberries.
of her children making them.
Making
So
of
we're
Lily
supposed to
Beth.
think that the babies are
Exactly,
involved.
exactly. So the whole thing is totally inauthentic. And I think it was Variety that had a headline like, "We've just experienced Montecito self-love without any joy." I mean, why, it was a crushing headline.
But it was a fail on Netflix's part too, because the products were not initially available to coincide with the show. The show launches March 4th, and the show is supposed to launch in February. The show launches March 4th, and then the products aren't even available until April 2nd. Now, I'm not an expert on how to shill food, but I would assume that if you want to take advantage of the hype being built around this show, these products would be ready to go on a website pre-order on March 4th so that you can take advantage of the organic press that's already being generated around Meghan in the kitchen. Who do you blame for something like, or do you agree that the product should have been ready to go? And if so, who do you blame for something so silly?
Well, Meghan entirely. I mean, the point is that Meghan knows what she'd like to do but can't deliver. I mean, she cannot be a Martha Stewart. She can't be a Gwyneth Paltrow. She can't recruit people who do it. I mean, the great problem in this whole merchandising and branding is that she has neither the money, the talent, the inspiration, the people to put it together for her. Then she sort of come up with a ridiculous story that Netflix were going to produce it for her and sell it, which Netflix quickly deny. I mean, her problem is she has terrific ambition, but she cannot actually do what she'd like to do because she just isn't competent enough. Simple as that. And to produce these brands, you needed money, you needed marketing expertise, production expertise, millions of dollars. She doesn't have it, and she doesn't know where to get it. And the most important thing of all is, I think, and this is where it's so fascinating, that nobody wants to back her brand. Nobody other than Netflix, and they've of course now departed, actually wants to put their money behind brand Meghan. And that is her misfortune.
Let's revisit that when we talk about the Fortune women, because I'm curious to know if you think that's why she's doing these and showing up at these places she has no business at. So then she releases her second podcast called Confessions of a Female Founder, or she announces this podcast. It's supposed to be launched April 8th. March 13th, she announces Confessions of a Female Founder, focused on conversations with women founders. What happened to Archetypes? She told us we were going to get a season 2 of Archetypes somewhere, and Archetypes just dies. Why the pivot to Confessions of a Female Founder? And do you think that it still lives? Will she ever resurrect this idea?
Well, she'd like to. Her problem is, firstly, she doesn't know how to interview people because
Do you
all
think I
these
should call her?
Not to give her lessons?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because your lessons would fail because there's only one person she's interested in when she's doing. There's that wonderful interview with the cosmetic woman where
Jamie Kern Lima?
where she says we must share a same blood type. We're both high A positive. I mean, it's just ludicrous. It's all about her. And there's an extraordinary interview with Serena Williams where the first 11 minutes is all about her and not about this phenomenal tennis
Serena
champion.
Williams.
I mean, so that's why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And who'd want to put herself or himself, as always, women. I mean, she does have this strange distrust, I think, of men.
Oh, really?
Well, it is. I don't understand. It's always about. I mean, this other day where she said she hoped Lilibet would be an activist. What does that mean? I mean, I'm
Wow.
a 4-year-old.
Wow.
And so I think she can't find anyone. I mean, in the end, she's stuck. I mean, she couldn't interview Beyonce. I think she interviewed her mother or something like that, which was extraordinarily boring.
Right. I always wondered if the women thing was trying to build an army that would defend her with asking these important women on her podcast. She's trying to, I don't know, I'm going to give you this positive media attention, so hopefully you'll say nice things about me out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think she likes women. I have a friend whose wife went to college with her, and he said that she was not nice. If you walked in a room, she wouldn't acknowledge you. If she walked in a room, she had her core friends that she went to, and didn't have a lot of friends, he said, at college. And so I always, although she was a sorority girl, so maybe she's much friendlier than I can ever comprehend, but that's not what the Sussex Survivors Club says. So I don't know. That's interesting that you say that about men. Could her not engaging a lot with men professionally have anything to do with Harry and jealousy?
No. It has all to do with, and that the same way that she dispensed with her father.
Yeah.
And suddenly glorifies and completely fictionalizes her mother's contribution to her childhood. I mean, it's all, you know, she really is a case for Dr. Freud, Professor
God, I
Freud,
love
having her on the couch for a long time to discover really what's happening in there.
In your new book, do you have any new details about her early life with her mom?
Yeah.
Tom Bauer has come. He's rescued us.
The most interesting thing is with that South Park cartoon, you know, when they on their worldwide privacy tour, and you see this shot where they slice off the head of Meghan's head and look inside and it's empty.
Hollow.
And that is exactly the issue. But she does pretty well with it.
They predicted a lot in that episode because
Exactly.
remember when they call her a sorority girl and an influencer? Like that's her job title when she goes to that school. That was hilarious. You mentioned As Ever products and the way she kind of manufactured this. It looks like there's this need or want for this product that doesn't really exist. Congratulations, you sold 10 jars of jam. Now, on May 27th, in one of her podcast episodes, she reveals she's considering entering the fashion business at some point in the future. The only reason I bring that up is because she shows up at Fashion Week within the last few weeks. Does that mean anything to you, or is that just somebody wanting her picture taken in a duvet?
No. I mean, I thought that the Balenciaga trip in Paris was a huge success for her.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Even the Princess Diana feet video?
Well, that was a feat. But I mean, you know, you've got to remember, Balenciaga's face, I think, is Anne Hathaway, and Meghan trumped it. And it was worldwide, that entrance. And
It doesn't embarrass you at all that she invited herself?
well, why should I be embarrassed? I think it's amusing. I think it's glorious. But on the other hand, you know, it's a bit more complicated. Mm-hmm. I mean, she might have invited herself, but she would have made her agent would have said she was available. But Balenciaga was delighted with that. Here's this woman who's championing children who are victims of social media, who is now giving her name to Balenciaga.
Well, it's unfortunate that she's not championing victims of sex trafficking and speaking out against Harry's uncle. That's unfortunate. She picks and chooses her causes. Do you think annoyed her or her team that the designer for Balenciaga gave an interview to The Cut shortly afterwards and said she invited herself? Would that have been something that...
I'd have been horrified.
Yes.
I think he was clearly off message.
He did not get the memo.
He's no longer the best friend.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a catastrophe for her.
So you're thinking she walked away from that. What was the ultimate objective then? Is she trying to enter the fashion world in some way?
Well, she can't. I mean, the fashion world is full of people who've made
Victoria Beckham
failed in the fashion world. She might make some money out of cosmetics, but nearly $100 million in debt thanks to his subsidies.
Do you think she only... I thought of you as I watched her Netflix series. Do you think she only admitted that because you talk about it in your book?
The losses?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It would reply to me.
To me, I felt like it was her PR, her way
Absolutely.
of trying to salvage and say, it doesn't matter that he said it first because I'm saying it now.
And you've got to remember as well, I mean, I set out on that book to deny him his knighthood.
Well,
because he was a rotten captain of English football, soccer. He was a terrible tax dodger and all the rest of it. I failed. I admit it was not my greatest success. Now we'll see with Meghan where she comes. Because, I mean, Meghan... she's increasingly, all her utterances are word salad.
Oh
I mean,
gosh.
it's impossible to fathom what she means anymore.
Well, and to leave the royal family and say that they held you back from something.
Exactly.
They held you back from something. Silence or silenced. I have been waiting for her to say anything of value for 5 years now. Anything. And it's just like, this bottle of shampoo's like a hug. What?
Exactly.
What? The difference, though, between Victoria Beckham and David Beckham and Meghan Markle and Harry is that I feel like David and Victoria always show up, always try to save themselves, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but don't publicly point the finger at other people and continue these negative stories by taking it to the streets.
Well, you're absolutely right. But the big difference is that the Beckhams are celebrities and the Sussexes still believe they are terribly important royals. And they're trading on a fiction and a fantasy, but also being pretty dishonest about it. And they're becoming constantly involved in politics, on preaching, and always peddling themselves as the architects of goodness in the world, whether it's philanthropy or whatever. It's all bogus.
Yeah.
Whereas the Beckhams are crudely self-made adventurers seeking fame and fortune and have done it pretty well.
And they're kind of fun because of that shamelessness. I don't mean shameless in the same way I would describe Fergie, but there's something fun about the Beckhams being like, Victoria specifically says she used to dress outrageously as a wag because she liked the cameras.
Well, the big difference between Victoria Beckham and Meghan is that Victoria Beckham is self-mocking.
Yes.
She makes fun of herself.
Self-deprecating,
she admits weaknesses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She is human. She makes no secret of all the different things. Now, Meghan has never admitted anything wrong, has never admitted any mistakes, never admitted any weaknesses. There's nothing human about her when she appears because she's so vulnerable, because she's such a narcissist, because she has no understanding of how to traffic herself as an idol, as a brand. There's got to be depth. Now, Victoria Beckham has no depth, but that's her attraction.
Okay, that's okay with that.
She's just a thin, skinny woman with a big mouth who married a very, very handsome, world-famous footballer and capitalized on it.
Yeah.
And why not?
Yeah, good for her.
I mean, people want to buy her stuff, that's fine. But Meghan's different. No one wants to buy her stuff. No one's rocking to be a follower of the Meghan brand. And that is her misfortune. So we wait and see how it'll pan out. And it's, the spiral, there's only two ways everything can go, up or down.
Right.
And of course, we're watching the slow motion.
You're so right when you talk about how Meghan constantly has a straight face and a smile. Like even when they're being booed at the Dodgers game, you see Harry's mouth start to twitch. He's physically reacting to it. He doesn't like it. But Meghan, It's like almost as if she's a pageant girl.
Well, she's an actress.
Yeah, she's an actress. But
yeah.
is the reason that because Prince Harry goes out of his way to tell Apple Plus, to tell Oprah Winfrey, in that Me You Can't See documentary, he talks about Meghan crying herself to sleep at night, and he makes comments like that. And I think in the Oprah Winfrey interview too, he's talking about her crying. Definitely talking about her crying in the Netflix docuseries. Are we not buying it because she goes overboard with the not crying? And, are we not buying it because she won't allow us to see that side of her genuinely? Or are we not buying it because Prince Harry's was at the time trying to sell us this victimhood mentality, which no longer works culturally?
Well, I think the victim worked for Oprah, and America bought into it for about a year. Mm-hmm. And then the New York Times switched and others switched, and they became bored.
Wall Street Journal, too.
They became bored by the victim pleading, especially when they finally realized that the original revelations about her bullying at Kensington Palace were replicated and were true because it was happening in America as well. Mm-hmm. And you just saw the image of the woman and thought, how can she also be the beast in Montecito? What happens behind closed doors? So it's a credibility problem they have. And I think that with Harry, here's a man who talks in his book repeatedly of feeling always persecuted by a cameraman and the shooters, the shutters click of cameras, all the rest of it. And suddenly he keeps on appearing in public.
Yeah.
It all doesn't make sense.
He told us it gave him PTSD.
Exactly. So one or the other.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important issue, that he lacks credibility too and is suspicious.
I think I use the word credibility every time they get on TV or on a stage and preach about protecting children online, when they have one of the most vicious fan bases on the internet that tear apart the Wales children and judge them on their looks, on their behavior, on their clothing. Start at home. Clean house first before you try to preach to anybody else about how to navigate children's safety online.
Well, the Sussex squad are very vicious. They're very violent, as I discovered in Vancouver when I was watching a baseball match. Wheelchair baseball. They attacked me viciously. It's online.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, and that is the point about them. They are so self-obsessed and so struggling for survival. And the question really is, which I find fascinating, and I can't answer it right now, is when they sit down and discuss it, how do they discuss it? How do they work out with their constantly changing staff how to manage it? And the only person who can really be in control of it all, of course, must be Meghan. And it's not working for her. Mm-hmm. But when she suddenly appears in Paris, you think, well, she's done something clever. When she appears, as you were going to say, in The Fortune, I mean, the reason why she appears at some of these events, which I've discovered, is it's not because they want to hear what she's got to say, but if she appears, they know they'll get publicity.
Right, exactly.
And the Humanitarian Award in New York was a classic example. It was a completely unknown event, mm-hmm. and it only strikes a chord and becomes an issue because the Sussexes are there. They give them an award, just like the Robert Kennedy Award.
Oh gosh, don't for fighting racism.
Or Gloria Steinem's award. It gives the award people certainty,
a boost
of publicity.
But doesn't it jeopardize the credibility of the cause?
Well, of course it does. But so far, it's like no one would invite Andrew anymore to make him Humanitarian of the Year award. So those who've given her awards this year, or Harry, are going to rue the day when the truth comes out.
Absolutely. All right, so August 26th, the second season of With Love, Meghan premieres on Netflix. Do you think she was disappointed by the reception this time around? Did she really think she could release a second season so close to the first season after filming them back to back, not taking any of the feedback from season one into account when editing the second season? Was she prepared for how irrelevant season two was?
Well, I think the important difference between 1 and 2 is, which they must have realized while filming the first series, is that she can't cook. And so therefore the season 2 was her watching chefs, mm-hmm. and all of them were unbelievably boring and unbelievably uninteresting, except the last one, Claire, the English chef who had cooked their wedding dinner, who showed her how to fillet a fish. and that was quite amusing, but ish. I mean, I tried to find out how many haddocks or whatever fish it was they'd bought at the Santa Barbara fish market, because she fillets one, although you don't know it's her, you just see a fillet.
Yeah.
But there was an NDA. The supplier of the fish wasn't allowed to reveal how many he'd sold them, so they could try out the filleting. But, you know, the point is that Series 2 really was an unbelievable, awful series, but they had it.
Again, you think about optics. Chrissy Teigen told a teenage girl to go off herself. She bullied a teenage girl on Twitter, and you are trying to be the face of protecting children online. Who is managing the optics of this team? I mean, do you not think that was a big fail?
I do, and I think that's why she didn't get a third season.
Yeah.
Exactly that. I mean, and it crashed in the ratings, and no one's watching it now. People watched it out of sadomasochism. I mean, they literally wanted to punish themselves. It was so boring, but and so fake, and the people and everything about it was just so ridiculous. But you know,
like meeting all of these friends for the first time.
Yeah.
My friend so and so is coming over. Nice to meet you. That's not your friend.
Exactly, yeah.
That's not your friend at all. So in August, this is August 20th. Or 31st, it was reported that Meghan would not be accompanying Prince Harry on a trip to the UK. This is around the time Harry's starting to reach out to his dad. Do you think she will be accompanying him? Is this even news anymore? I don't think she wants to come back here. I think that she has decided that she's better than the UK. She doesn't need the UK anymore, but she just needs that title.
Well, she needs the title. No, she'll never come back here. Although he wants her very much to come to the Invictus Games in Birmingham in 2027. So he was hoping his father, he could move into the reconciliation stage and Meghan will accept it. But there's no way, in my view, that William and Kate are ever going to accept Meghan back. And that's finished. And I think the events with Andrew show that the Sussexes have a survival problem now with their titles. Mm-hmm. So I think that Harry's problem is that he desperately needs a foothold in Britain. He knows he's got to secure it in his father's lifetime. And so that's what it's all about. I mean, and he did pretty well on that trip to England. He got a lot of good publicity.
He got a lot of good press.
He got press because he was the old Harry, and it cost him £1.5 million, $2 million in some charity giveaway he did in the middle of England. Mm-hmm. So it was an expensive trip for him.
Right.
But it was a can I rebuild myself trip.
Yeah. So your reaction overall to Meghan and Harry showing up at the Dodgers game, being booed, are they going to take this as any real sign that maybe they should disappear for a little while on top of all the chaos with Harry, the thought of losing their own titles? Might they disappear, or is Meghan just revving up for the Christmas special?
Oh, absolutely. They will never disappear until they're forcibly suppressed. There's or shamed. No, I mean, they can cope with that. She's been booed before, so's he.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was just an aberration in their view. They'll reappear somewhere else, no doubt about it.
Oh, all right. Well, Tom Bauer, it's been such a blessing to spend time with you. Agree with us, disagree with us, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Reread Revenge, because a new book is coming, and it's going to be even more exciting and even more... I've already used the word delicious, but I can't come up with anything else. So delicious. So Tom Bauer, thank you so much for your time today. We love you here.
Thanks very much.
By the time it was fact-checked, people had already consumed the worst possible accusation. And it was really, I still think that there are people that believe that Harry and Meghan feel like there were racism, that there was some sort of form of racism against them. And I just think that it's two people that didn't do their homework, that are incredibly insecure.
And this is what's remarkable. Harry should have known better, for heaven's sake. He's a prince of the blood. It doesn't take much to find this out, even just looking at Wikipedia. In half an hour, you could find this information.
In less.
And to lay the accusation of racism against the royal family, cut so deeply because, you know, our current king has dedicated his life to interfaith dialogue, working with ethnic minorities. We know how important it is to the Prince of Wales as well. And, you know, at that royal wedding of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, everyone spoke, for example, about the black choir that was there. And everyone thought this was Meghan's gift. This was King Charles. This was his favourite gospel choir. This was, you know, the black female chaplain was the Queen's chaplain. The royal family have done so much to work towards, you know, harmony amongst the Commonwealth races, and to be accused of racism really stung. And for Harry, who absolutely knew his family are not racist, to say nothing, and you could actually see he was uncomfortable with the accusations being made by his wife, and yet he chose to say nothing for months, if not a year, during which the family were raked over the coals for being racist. I think that was absolutely unforgivable.